He's steelmanning his way to truth, justice, and whatever James Gunn says for your manly pleasure. So let's see if his tights are loose enough for him to be all the man he could be in his own movie as we get hard on this review of Superman by James Gunn. And as always, we play by baseball rules, so 3 strikes and you're out. Alright, let's pop that couchy hey-o with the squad as they try to convince us to put that long ballpoint pen inside their big old fat box that checks if there are any hot ladies. And by hot, of course, we mean highly capable and original characters with huge amounts of talent. Hey now, like a woman tends to do, Lois Lane is coming in hot with a game of 20 questions, Gold Digger Edition, by James Gunn. Well, there's no surprise here because the first girlfriend tends to be a man's biggest adversary, so let's hope she doesn't take over his first movie. But unfortunately, Lois Lane stays in character by only looking out for number 1, as she keeps everything on record from her man like any woman does, manipulating her always around just in case beta man, and to take advantage of his mentally challenged side piece to get the scoop at all costs. And of course, by mentally challenged, we mean emotionally vulnerable and impressionable lady. And speaking of taking advantage, it seems that Lois Lane is playing this game on easy mode, as even the most difficult part of any game, flight mechanics, seems to be intuitive in that I'm a woman way. And there's no substitute for experience when you need to work 2 joysticks at the same time. Well, say what you want about getting a degree, but she's certainly putting her college years to work, because this Lois Lane instantly knows how to throttle those horizontal shafts like a rodeo champion stealing the show on amateur night. Which reminds me of those experienced ladies from our sponsor, Madam Hands on Wang's Filipino Palace. Download the app and use the promo code HARDONREVIEWS to get off 50% and the other 50% free of charge. Now back to the adventures of Lois Lane and friends.
Turn it up, don't turn it off. Turn me round, put me in my place.
Well, looks like her lack of struggle for anything might just be the only obstacle she has to overcome in order to get the point here, as she shows up wherever she needs to be for the plot to happen. And as strong female characters tend to do, she gets in her own way with her first strike on the board. Well, it's a sad day for woman of all genders, but that's the cost of having that can-do, no wrong attitude. By James Gunn. So let us know how you feel about the competition so far in the comments, as Lois Lane tries to take the wheel into our next category, explosive loads of action. Well, there's certainly a lot of flashy things moving around here, we can't deny that, but it seems my man brain has gone a bit limp here with boring action fatigue, by James Gunn. And we don't have that kind of willpower to keep our spines erect for all the things happening on the screen, so we're just going to give them the point here in order to pull off a quick release into our next category, where, oh where are the rugged dudes? Well, it's time to see if he can stand out in the background of his own movie, as we find out if there's enough man in Superman, by James Gunn. Well, in order to get that rugged dude point, he's gonna have to sling a lot of D. And D, of course, meaning other dudes, because he's clearly good at taking it hard. But it would be nice to see Superman giving it just as hard without anyone else's help at least once in this movie, by James Gunn. And speaking of D, it looks like we're getting a double dose here with not 1, but 2 men of rock hard steel. So it looks like it's a good thing that Lois Lane is good with both hands, because even though one D is not quite like the other, talk about dreams come true for this tailor-made, hands-on journalist. And that's a good reminder for a limited time, be sure to take advantage of our sponsors, get off 2 for 1 special at Madam Hands on Wang's Filipino Palace. But Jack, be quick, because they're on a first come, first served basis. And now back to our judges about the point here, where we'll see if 2 Ds are really better than 1, and oh. Well, that's a shame, because it seems that it's hard being Superman in your own movie when you've been TKO'd more times than Glass Joe, which means another strike on the board, by James Gunn. And on that note, it seems like a good time to give a shout out to one of our whores out there. That's HORS for Hard on Review supporters, Stefan MIC7612, coming all over the comments hard with an LMFAO emoji times 4. And speaking of, like and subscribe as we squeeze ourselves into our next category, amply developed characters. Well, since Lois Lane unfortunately jacked her way out of the competition by losing that hot lady point for the team, we're gonna have to rely on one of her background supporting characters, Superman, by James Gunn. Well, from starting out as a wholesome not-so-Superman, he dives headfirst to go down on all the men and woman, and even his dog from time to time. Well, it's not my cup of tea, but to each his own, and I guess the word is out about his glass jaw and ego. Because it's no surprise that everyone's trying to take advantage of a Superman that prefers to go down rather than use his godlike powers to beat everyone off the map, by James Gunn. And with no change in him being a good D from beginning to end, that's another strike on the board as we blow our way out of this black hole of characterization into our next category. What Obituary, where we look for signs of fisticuffs, death, and dismemberment. Well, when fatherless children are set loose into the world, they tend to turn into kaijus of mass destruction. So it's no surprise that they fall hard without a replacement fatherly figure by destroying everything in their path. And it's those daddy issues kaijus that remind us that everyone could use a Pa Kent in order to grow up with the good wholesome values in the absence of an actual father. So a special shout out to all those surrogate fathers out there slinging that good D of proper masculine values in hopes for better men and women of tomorrow. And speaking of good D for dudes, we'll have to take a moment of silence with that obituary point for the only shot in the dark sort of meaningful death of Falafel Molly, written by a true hero of whatever, James Gunn. And speaking of falafel, that's a good reminder to take advantage of our sponsor, Madam Hands on Wang's Filipino Palace, now with in-home deliveries for your happy package. Well, there's always a slight chance for them to turn it around, so let's go ahead and take a couple of strokes for good luck as we burst into our final category, Nothing to See Here, where we try to squeeze as much as we can out of that narrative for that finale. Well, let's do our best to make sense of this attempt at a story by James Gunn. So we start with Superman getting beat off the screen by another Man of Steel that definitely can't be replicated multiple times. Then he gets beaten off the screen metaphorically by his woman and star of the show, Lois Lane. And then he goes down on Lex Luthor's super terrific fun time hand in your pocket dimension for some time wasting strange. Then, as one does when they spend too much alone time in their fortress of solitude, he goes down that road towards tentacle delights by making friends with the creepy man baby having hybrid octopus Red Rocket Man. Well, I guess that's one way to get some head in the game. Then he chokes on some overwhelming black lady goo, then climaxes with an armbar that breaks at the wrong joint, but still somehow swings that D of a fully grown yet special short best edition of Superman into a black hole of storytelling. By James Gunn. Well, I guess they've proven a room full of monkeys really can churn out a script, even if that script turns anything of value in the franchise into nothing to see here. So unfortunately, that's their final strike on the board for our first time ever 4 Strikes Pocket Universe Edition strikeout, which means that Superman is definitely not approved for manly consumption. By James Gunn. Well, that's all we have for today, so like and subscribe if you enjoyed yourself and click your screen for another hard-on review. By James Gunn.